Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first ever episode of Between Two Turns, a Disney Lorcana podcast. We are your hosts. I am Justin.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Jotham. That's like Gotham, but with a J.
And we're just like three buddies who love talking the game with each other. And we decided, hey, why not record ourselves doing it? So we made a podcast. That said, we're going to do a couple of small introductions real quick. Like I said before, I am Justin. I go by the Diz Dude on social media. I am a brand new competitive TCG player. I played like Yu-Gi-Oh in middle school, not really like competitively, just like at a local game store. But Disney Lorcana is the very first game that I was like, I'm going to do this for real.
Yeah, and I'm Dakota. I've played card games since I was 12. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Pokemon, even played Flesh and Blood a little bit right when it first came out. But I really stuck with Magic for about 15 years until I found Lorcana. And, you know, being a Central Florida kid, so anything Disney I'm all for. Got to play on the Magic Pro Tour a little bit, went to a bunch of Magic Grand Prix, and I was excited to get to attend every Disney Lorcana Challenge this past year. I did pretty well at those. For the most part, I didn't really walk away without at least a let it go for those. So that's me.
Yeah, so Dakota's the veteran, I guess you could say here. Justin's kind of the newer player, even though he's collected cards and kind of played with cards.
I gotta let it go.
Since the beginning. He did get a let it go. I've probably in the middle between the two of experience. I've played card games since I was like 5, started with Pokemon, but didn't get super competitive until played a little bit of Magic competitively, but only like in local tournaments and things like that. And then got super serious into Disney Lorcana, day-two'd a couple DLCs. I probably win a bunch of local tournaments, I would say. So I'm probably like that middle skill level or experience level. I wouldn't say skill because we're all fairly skilled now at this point, I would say.
Yeah, and that kind of is a great transition into like what we're looking to do with our podcast is we're really looking to provide value for all skill levels, right? So you have like all the different phases of like beginner, intermediate, veteran, and I just feel like we have a lot to offer.
Yeah, beginners, children, adults, old dogs, whoever.
Yeah, old dogs. And then one of the other things that we want to do is kind of like track our own personal progress with things. And we feel like talking about it and learning and watching our accolades kind of grow along the way is a good way to do it. So here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just, you know, having something where we put our like ideas actually out there and have to like debate them or have a discussion, I think is pretty helpful when trying to figure out just what's going on in the metagame or with the game in general.
Speaking of like what's going on with the game, I don't know if you guys heard, but there were some bans on a couple of cards recently. And that means we're entering our news segment. So who wants to start us off on our bans?
Yeah, sure, I'll start. You know, a little late to the party on discussing this, but Hiram, Flavorsham, and Fortisphere were both banned. I think this was about last Monday now at this point. I think they were both needed bans. I think the Sapphire decks were just too immensely popular, both Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel. And honestly, I wasn't really sure that Fortisphere needed to go, but I liked their justification that it didn't fit the like identity of Steel as a color, and that was the big reason it had to go. And you know, playing Bell on turn 1 was pretty stifling to aggro decks, so I think it'll be nice for those to potentially get into the metagame.
Yeah, agreed. I also just like would get super annoyed with little Cindy being able to sing and stuff, but like putting a 3/3 body on something like that, it just seems like
It's a better Cindy at that point.
Yeah, I'm like, man, there's nothing I can play. My Chernobyls can't take that out.
Bad. I can't even play my own Cindy into it, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you could have done a Cindy into Sydney anyways.
No, but it's even worse now, right?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it was a fair banning. Also, color identity is kind of a big thing. It was it's not really a Steel thing to just be able to draw cards for free. Usually you have to discard or something for it. So I agree with that. I think it's good. And I mean, yeah, we're like a week and a half late for that news, but it's still relevant, obviously, because we had like
Agreed.
Tournaments over the weekend where blue was still pretty popular, especially by DKP.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. I don't remember who posted it, so I'd love to give credit whoever that was. But when I was looking on Twitter, I saw like the meta share for what was at the tournament, and it was a very wide spread of pretty even bars. Like you saw all your red purples, green purples, red blues, purple
was
steels.
a good mix.
Like it was green steel was in there. And
Yeah.
it was like it seemed pretty balanced. It looked like a healthy meta.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I've been pretty busy lately, so I haven't gotten to play too much. But in the coming weeks, especially before the Merlin 10K down at Southside, I want to jump back in and get some testing in to see like really how this is shaking stuff out.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that event because one, I love any tournament that has guaranteed prizing, but two, if it caps out, it will scale up to a 15K. So that's something that SSG does that I'm like super appreciative of is one, they always guarantee prizing and everything's typically scalable. I love when store owners or tournament hosts host their events with that. Like it just, to me, it says like I'm keeping the community in mind and I'm thinking of you guys and just trying to give you guys a fun, healthy environment. And I'm a big fan.
They're pretty generous with it. So it's also kind of cool because you know that tournament's going to fill out. So
for sure.
You're not worried about it not hitting the cap usually. So that'll be fun. But like, so we have that coming up in a week and a half, right?
Right.
About a week and a half. So like, do we think any of these lists from the past weekend, DKP's red blue list, the red purple evasive list has been pretty popular. Anything like that, do we still think's prevalent or going to be heavier in a week and a half for that Miami tournament?
I mean, I think the DKP list just looks really well rounded. I mean, I played it when he first rolled it out for a little bit, won a set champs with it, and then I've played it at locals a couple times. I'm a big fan of the deck personally, and I went to a local game store just yesterday, and I saw the red purple evasives deck like on like 5-6 people playing out of like I think it was like 18, 20 players.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A pretty solid showing. And then there were other iterations of red purple too. The evasives were pretty. It was a different deck, and it's nice to see cards like Moana that like you just have never seen before come out of nowhere, and everyone's like, "Let me read that card. What does that one do?" And I think that's like, oh, we're in a brand new meta. That's
so
like,
yeah, speaking of that, what do we think the meta is going to be now after seeing this past weekend kind of results? Do we have like, I mean, Purple Seal's talked about quite a bit as probably being the most popular one right now, but I don't know if that's true.
that's a Dakota question. He's got that TCG brain.
Yeah. After looking at this last week's meta results, like I think both the like you said, DKP is like one of the tastemakers for Ruby Sapphire. So I think a lot of people are going to follow his lead, maybe tweak some cards here and there. The evasive list I think is definitely stronger when it's a less known quantity. Like now, like if you're playing against Amethyst Ruby, like if they have a Peter Pan in play and you don't have like a compelling reason to quest or challenge, and they have like some good actions, maybe like a Be Prepared or a Brawl or Pirate's Life or Friends or on the other side or something, like you probably don't want to just like inch onto the board with some lore to like quest, because now you're exposing yourself to like a Rush Shark. So I think I'll be interested to see how those decks adapt, see if Flynn maybe comes back into the fold more. Maybe they get a little more aggressive. I think Amethyst Steel also, kind of as you mentioned, people have been pretty excited about that after the bannings because it's just always going to be good. Like it's inevitable. Someone's going to register Amethyst Steel no matter what.
My favorite color pair, but Dakota always convinces me not to play it because it's been bad for like the past 4 sets.
See, you're misquoting me.
4 or 5 sets.
I've never said that I think the deck is bad.
It's true.
I've said it's just...
It's not quite there.
Every time.
It is always meant. That's the thing. It's always
never
been
been
in the middle.
I just want Bosses on a Roll to be a good card.
We'll make it a good card.
I like that one.
Yeah, it is a good one. It is a good one. It's a card of all time that you can register for an event.
I don't think I will.
Not yet.
That's gonna be a tough one to pull the trigger on.
So Purple Steel, all that. There was a good mix in the top 16 from that tournament. What was it? Oslor? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, it was in Germany. I'm not entirely sure the pronunciation, so I apologize.
probably
but
not
I think it's Oslor. I know it's hosted by Battle Bear. That was something.
So you guys noticed Red Yellow Mufasa was in the mix for that?
Yeah. Also, as I've known Corey Patrick, or Humble as he's known in the community, for the better part of 10 years. So I know he's always in the lab working on that, and I I've seen him over the last like week or so and talked to him, and he thinks the deck like with the Ruby Sapphire banning is like better positioned, and he's going to make a run at playing it. So
I agree. I would agree with that. But also another little rogue deck that came in there was a blue green deck that also made it in top 16. It was actually mislabeled as Emerald Steel. I think while the tournament was going on, they just had the results wrong, but it was Emerald Sapphire actually.
I'm a big fan of some Emerald Sapphire.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that right now.
I thought I would mention that because somebody else played Emerald Sapphire recently and top 8 at what was it?
It was the SSG 3K. I played Emerald Sapphire, and I was like, this is the pre-banning, so keep that in mind. And so everyone's on red, blue, blue, steel, and I was like, I think like what, 4 days before I sent you guys a list, maybe 5 days.
yeah, it was the Monday beforehand, like at 11 p.m. So like maybe
Not a lot of time.
4.1 days.
Yeah, I just like sent them a random list and was like, I want to try it. What do I need to change? Help me out. This is something I think can just freeload the blue decks basically, and it ended up working out really well. If I played red, blue, or blue, steel, I got to play solitaire, and it was just ignore everything they're doing and just win the game. It was some of the most one-sided matches I've ever played in Lorcana, and I felt really bad for my opponents because they kept putting their head down in their hands like this, and
They didn't get to do anything.
I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I have another ink geyser in my hand. Like,
Just gonna do it again.
so I had a really good run there. I think I played 3 red blue to start and a blue steel, or was it 4 red blue? I'd have to go back and look at it. But I did play.
Either way, the
those.
matchups that you really wanted for the most part, because this deck kind of struggles with anything aggro slightly, right?
Yes,
depending on the
that's
deck.
my only loss for the day was to a green yellow aggro deck. It was like a homebrew from someone who's actually local to us. His name's Nathan, and
Yeah, that one especially because he just in times on turn 3 to get out a big body.
yeah, it was rough, and you just like can't do
Yeah,
anything
there's
about
not
the
really
ward
answers
characters.
to that. Yeah, so aggro matchup is a bit hard, but control matchup pretty favored.
Yeah,
for us, right?
it was pretty awesome. And then watching the decks from this weekend and stuff, we like obviously went back to the drawing board because the deck performed really well, and we decided to try and make a couple changes to make it better in like the more mid-range matchups as well, just so it has like more consistency and sustainability throughout like a normal tournament setting with a more diverse meta. I'm not going to walk into a tournament tomorrow and expect to see all red blues or blue steel like ramp lists. So I was like, I want to be able to play the deck again because it is some of the most fun I've ever had playing. So we made a couple changes.
Yeah, we did.
One thing that you suggested actually that's been like really solid is we changed the develop your brains over to the visions of the future.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of visions. It just the difference between looking at 2 cards or 5 cards is huge for this deck because sometimes you want to find specific pieces like Clarabelle or Geyser, right? It is 1 ink versus 2 ink. That is a difference as well, but I just value looking at 5 cards rather than 2, and there's so many times where you do have that extra 2 ink and you really want to dig for a specific card, and it kind of saves you in some matchups. And then also I think Dakota mentioned Baymax first.
The universal shift Baymax has been really good because, like you mentioned, the deck is just a ton of fun to play. Start to finish, you might end up with some zero-sum fun games where you have all the fun and your opponent has none of it once you get the ink geysers rolling, but that's a them problem, not a me problem. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah.
But like the universal shift Baymaxes have been pretty incredible because oftentimes we're getting run over by the more aggressively slanted decks like Purple Steel, or the like 7 Dwarfs Mine deck, or the like Amber Emerald like Dogs deck with a Chernabog, because we would just maybe play a Tipo or an Ursula or just some kind of like understated character that couldn't really contest, and by the time we got up to like a Scrooge, which we played originally in that slot, or like a Crikey to pump things up, they'd already gotten so far ahead. But the shift from Baymax and being able to curve like Tipo, ink an extra card into ink for turn, Baymax immediately challenge something, especially against the Amber decks, and get like 2 or 3 characters 4-1 off of our shift has been like really good to help turn those matchups around, and I don't really find them particularly difficult anymore.
A 5/5 body also super good right now in this field, right? It's really hard to get rid of a 5/5, and they can't really against yellow decks. They can't really take advantage of Rapunzel most of the time, right? Off of a 5 attack character as well. So
I also think like you don't really run across it as much, but I think the healing factor on Baymax, where like when he shifts, he removes the damage from the character you went on
can be relevant.
I think it's made a couple of difference in like making the opponent have to think about like how they want to trade. It's not just tossing one character in anymore. Like Atala hits something and then shift on top, it's healed. Now they have to throw 2 characters, otherwise I get to do the same thing again.
It's kind of like just a bonus. Like don't look for it, but if it happens, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how we look at it. One of the cards that I added in randomly because I was just looking through the 4-drops on Dreamborn was Knock, the Knock.
Who's there?
Well, the spirit of the water spirit.
It's a water spirit.
It's a water
horse.
spirit. It's from Frozen.
Yeah, I didn't know what movie it was from when you suggested it. I had to go like look it up because I have seen Frozen 2, but I didn't remember
I love
side
Frozen.
character horse.
It wasn't a side character. She's all that horse is all over the place.
Okay, maybe
man.
I'm a fake fan.
All over the place.
Like literally all the spirits were pretty in that movie. But what I like about it is you mentioned like how Baymax a lot of time is a 2-for-1. Well, the Knock also kind of feels like that same thing. So Knock has Ward. It's a stat line is a 4-cost inkable 4/3 that quest for 1 with Ward. And so in those aggro matchups, when we're facing things like Daisy, it'll hit Daisy and also swing into a second character, and it can't be targeted by removal, which is super nice. Good. And that was the issue that the deck was having against some of those.
Good into
the
steel
steel
song.
aggressive decks where you would like challenge with Scrooge or maybe just something else like Atala, and then it would just get like Let the Storm Rage Dawn or Strength of a Raging Fire to get it finished off.
Exactly.
And they would stay ahead on board, but like the Knock has been able to slow tempo very well, and then like you said, you get to like challenge into like a Daisy or like the Troubadour, like the turtle guy.
Oh yeah, kills the turtle.
When they have to sing something else that's come up, and you get to like challenge one of those, take that out, and then they like have to challenge something else in. And like I've even gotten good value where they have to send in like a Smee, or if they're in like kind of a pinch, like an aerial if it's gonna like take something else out, and it really just forces your opponent into like awkward positions, which is kind of really just what you want to do with this deck because you're just trying to buy time. Because like eventually you're going to make them put a bunch of cards back into their hand. And then ideally have a Clarabelle in play and draw a lot of cards. So just anything that can buy you time and slow the tempo of the game down is like very advantageous.
Yeah, I think if like Green Steel or Steel Song's relevant in your meta, then it's a pretty good card. It threatens Ariel, like he was saying. Like if it taps to sing something, they better be prepared for it to die because you're gonna get a 2-for-1 most of the time off of him. Same in the Green Steel. Like it does threaten Muses, right? Because Muses is sometimes hard to kill. It's a 2/4 body, so it being a 4/3 with Ward, pretty good. So yeah, I like it.
Green Steel, the discard. You actually brought up a card every time. You actually brought up a card to add into the list that kind of helps with like those Diablo matchups that we obviously like post banning thought we were going to see a lot of. Which I think there's a fair amount going around between the green purple discard list and the green steel discard list. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I mean, Sir Hiss, I assume is what you're referring to here.
The one.
It at least kills Diablo. The only thing I don't like about it is it being a 3/1, right? So if they have Storm or Strength, it kind of just dies, but it does threaten it at least. So throwing a couple of those in there actually helps. Also against locations, Sir Hiss is pretty good because there's generally a lot of times where we have some weak bodies early on, and Sir Hiss kind of can help with that, right? Get a couple hits in, especially if you throw Cricky on turn 5 or turn 4 if you ramp. Right?
Take out a shark.
Yeah, it can take out a shark. Helps with the evasives. So I think it's pretty relevant. And just having a couple, I think, is good enough. I don't think you need 4.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
In this meta.
And the green purple list that discard is, I think, is still super popular. It was popular over in Europe. I know my buddy Franz ended up playing that list at some point. I think at CCS and did pretty well with it too. And it's just been gaining in popularity. So I think Sir Hiss is one that also is good for that matchup
I've
as well.
seen quite a cult following just kind of spring up out of nowhere for that deck. It just really clicks with people for, I think, I don't know, they really like the Diablo package, but don't like playing the steel cards.
Right.
And, who really doesn't like playing with the Amethyst cards? Like, it's just, my opinion, they're some of my favorite cards in the game. Like, the Madam Mim Fox, the Merlin Rabbit, the Merlin Goat. Like, they're, in my opinion, the most fun cards to play with.
Yeah.
So, makes sense that people would really fall in love with that kind of deck.
Yeah, I like playing a deck that makes my opponent get rid of cards and me draw more cards.
That, and it's always fun to play cards that your opponent's like, can I read that? What does that do? Like,
That's
I
true.
really enjoy, I don't know why. I think it's so funny, like just playing
That's
out
why
their cards.
he plays green-blue sometimes.
That's you do like to be like a special butterfly who like is going to make sure that at least half of your opponents are going to have to like reach across the table and pick something up.
I said, what does that say? Oh, it just says work.
It does that? That's it?
That's all it does.
Never mind. That's why I don't know what this card is.
Also, for reference, if you guys want to see the deck list, we are going to link the Dreamborn link to the deck list inside of the description. So you guys can click that. And then also, I worked pretty hard on a Metafy guide. It is $7, and you can buy it or not buy it. Either way, it is out there for you to access if you so choose. And I did get a little bit of insight from these two, who are pretty much my go-tos when it comes to like prepping for tournaments and deck building and tech cards and ratios and the whole nine. So
All that good stuff.
yeah, check it out if you guys get a chance. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see for that aforementioned Merlin 10K coming up at the end of this month, or I think May 3rd. Start of next month, like what everyone ends up on, especially like in our group, because we're pretty apt to just kind of play whatever.
Yeah.
We're very much like wake up day of. And
We're
be like,
versatile.
how many times have I gone to you and been like put 3 deck boxes in front of you and said just point to one?
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like at the last Southside event, I registered a different deck 5 minutes before the tournament, then I showed up to the store
That sounds
with.
right.
That's I remember that because
Yeah.
you were planning on bringing the same.
Yeah,
list.
I got cold feet on the Emerald Sapphire deck and switched over to the Amber Emerald Chernadogs deck with like 0 to hero to power out Clarabelle instead of relying on old Bonefish Quill and
Bonefish Grill.
friends.
Yeah.
Man, I always
We tend to
forget
do
that's
that.
Fishbone Quill.
we tend to do that quite a bit. I think we just pick decks that we're feeling for the day. I mean, we did it at DLCs before.
So we definitely have done it at DLC. So like, what time do we have to turn this in? 8:30. The morning of.
Pretty often.
How many?
Yeah.
We probably submitted. I went to 5, and I think I submitted 1 deck list the night before, and all the other ones were that morning.
Yeah.
And then at locals one time, we literally I put one. No, it was like a 2K or something like that. And I put deck lists, and I said, which one should I play to my opponent, because we didn't have to register deck lists. And I think they regretted their pick, but
Yeah.
it worked out
Great
well
time.
for me.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You know
Yeah,
what?
I fortunately have not done that at a DLC. I've known I was going to play at least a couple days beforehand at each of them.
I wouldn't do it at the DLC.
See,
that was just like a local.
This
Oh,
is
no,
why-
I mean, like, I'm usually pretty prepared. It's pretty abnormal for me to do what I did at Southside, where
This
I
is
like
why-
switch up right beforehand.
He's worse than me with
This
that.
is why he's the veteran.
Yeah, well, I'm a vibes guy, so like vibes got to be right before I even start.
Like the
so-
game?
We're talking about
Is that-
Lorcana.
is that a card?
This is a
Not
Lorcana
vibes.
podcast.
What is
We can
vibes?
talk about vibes. So it's a penguin. It's a
I can't.
penguin TCG.
I have no idea.
No clue what
and
this
the
is.
turns are like every. Never mind. Well, that's
Yeah.
a different podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll make a second podcast because this is going to do really well, obviously, right?
Yeah, between 2 bergs, like
Between,
icebergs,
between two
birds.
vibes?
There we go.
penguins, and icebergs.
Yeah, I guess that works.
Look at that. We're
I'm not-
I don't have any penguins
group.
to put out here. Anyways, so with all that fun, I have a little special segment
Uh-oh.
I want to get to. Unless any of you have anything else you want to talk about.
Let's do closing thoughts real quick on metagame predictions and how
Sure.
I think things are going to
Yeah.
step forward. Which I guess I could start. So after the what is it? What do we have on here? Oh yeah, Ostlore, hosted by Battle Bear. Like we had a pretty diverse metagame. Like we mentioned, DKP like really set the taste for Ruby Sapphire. I think that's going to persist and get more popular. The deck seems just very powerful for me. It just like runs out of cards sometimes, which I think is a good thing. Personally, I think Steel Song is going to pick up. Even with like the Amethyst Ruby evasive deck, like if you look at a lot of stuff, like I think Along Came Zeus just hitting the magic number again at 5. So I think it's like, oh, what would the best like Along Came Zeus deck be? And I think that's Steel Song. So I think that could have like a resurgence, either like maybe with the locations, like some Steel Song tastemakers like Wochuk and Zach Bivens. I think also Green Steel is kind of waiting in the wings. I think that's definitely a deck you have to metagame to what you think the field's going to be. And now that we know that it's going to be more diverse, the Green Steel decks can, figure themselves out. And other than that, I just think like we might even see something like Sapphire Amethyst pop up. Like I think maybe that was waiting in the wings, being held back by Hiram and friends. And I don't know. Maybe I might give that a run. Actually, maybe that's what I'll play.
I mean, of note, in the LCCC. There's 3 C's.
There's 3
right.
C's. Yeah.
There's 3 C's. In the LCCC, Kurt Spies actually beat DKP when he lost a dice roll playing Steel Song. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool to see. It was all games were super fun. If you guys have a chance, go back and watch it because game 1 was just the way it ended was kind of nutty. I love that. It was super cool to see.
I didn't see it.
But definitely go back and watch. But yeah, I agree. Steel Song could be really solid. I also just think the DKP list, like you said, is very well rounded. And so you just play that deck and it's like, what do I want to play when I feel like winning? That's literally what I said to my buddy Sean the other day. And it's that list. Like I have 2 decks built, one's blue-green, one is the DKP list. And I just play that when I'm like, I feel like winning a bunch of games. So
yeah, that's fair. I do that when I want to play Steel Song, but you know, I also have a lot of fun playing Steel Song. I do think Steel Song is going to be pretty popular now. Blurple, as Dakota mentioned,
I did forget Blurple.
It's becoming more popular. And
I'm seeing a lot of it
on when I do some testing online, I've seen it quite a bit. So, but I do think it's going to be the usual suspects. You know, red, blue.
Red purple
is going to come up. I think Steel Song's going to be pretty high up there. Purple steel, and yeah, just other than that, green steel kind of towards the tail end, but I think it is going to go up just a little bit more.
I think we'll see more green purple than green steel, just because, like you said, the following to that deck is pretty massive.
Which I also think's kind of location dependent too, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know how Miami is.
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
well, like in Florida we have a couple prominent Sapphire Amethyst players, so I think I would guess no less than like a handful of people are going to play that, even if it isn't the best positions, because that's just what they do.
They play that quite a bit. That's why I think Blurple will be fairly relevant for this 10K coming up, the Merlin 10K at SSG. But yeah, that's it.
Meta predictions over?
I think so. So let's do a surprise segment.
Yeah,
so for context, Dakota and I have zero clue what is about to happen.
Yeah,
the only person who knows is this guy.
as a surprise.
Yeah,
it's a great surprise. No, it's a fun little thing.
Okay.
I just need a little jingle while I look up stuff on my phone real quick. Somebody give me a jingle.
Oh man,
you really should have prepared us better for this because jingle.
Here, we can vamp. I know how to
do
vamp.
It.
So pretty hot outside, right?
Yeah, we live in Florida, so it tends to get that way, especially those summer.
Okay,
we're done. We're in spring.
We're done. We're done with the vamping.
Okay,
so yeah, that was great. So I have a game we're gonna play. Okay,
I'm ready.
It's called They're a 10 But. Okay.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna. No, it's not about people. It's about cards.
No, I figured.
Okay. So I'm gonna name a couple cards, and we're gonna talk about. They're pretty good. They're basically a 10. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're basically a 10. And what negative effect or side effect
What's
would
like
we
detracting from
yeah
their,
but not to nerf it, right? I don't want to be like Bucky, kill it into the ground and
okay, wait. So are we trying
to
like weaken these cards, or just
I want to
comment
weaken
on
it.
How they like exist in the metagame? And
No. I want to weaken these. Okay. I don't want to make them a 10. I want you to make them like a 6 or a 7 at this point. Okay.
Sure.
Still usable.
Okay, we can try.
Sure.
Okay. So first one I want you to do is a whole new world, because that's probably one on the top.
Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna preface this with I have immense respect for game designers, because I could not design a square box. So we'll see how this goes.
He tried, but it was a circle.
I second that.
Yeah, it was like a trapezoid the second time too. Like I'm getting better each time.
This is supposed to just be a fun thing. No, it doesn't have to be like super thought out or serious.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
So I'm gonna give the Dakota the first.
You're gonna give him the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So so you could kill it and make it cost 6. So like all the prominent cards that pair with it, besides Bianca now, can't sing it. But I think that would make it like a 1 or 2 pretty easily.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That would go the way of Bucky, which I've still to this date never seen one of the 3-cost Buckies in person, and I hope I go to the end of my days without seeing one of those, based on what that the 2-cost squirrel had done to me. So maybe I think you just have to have it draw less cards, like maybe somewhere towards like 5.
I could see that.
I can get behind that.
Purely because I love symmetry. Got like a 5 cost for the card. Draw 5 cards.
This is
and
his
then
brain.
everything that sings it is like Ariel or Gaston or
5.
Robin Hood.
Singer
More
5.
5s. So like we've got all the numbers covered.
I like it. I actually like this. I think
And
that's
you
pretty
can't
good.
steal mine, Justin. You can't just say mine was good.
Well, no. Now I like that one, so I think I'm going to give him a new card.
Yeah, I want a new one because he
that's
took
a
the
good
answer
one.
right. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Even the
that's right.
5s thing.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
No, that was a good one. I like it. Okay.
Oh
so,
boy, I'm not gonna be good at this.
Okay, the second card. I have 3. All right.
Okay.
So the second card is Be Prepared. It's not as prevalent as it used to be, but it's still pretty good, right? I mean, DKP runs 4 of them in his red blue
Yeah,
list.
it's a good card.
That one I think is easy. I think that one should probably just cost 8.
That's the only thing I could think of. Literally, why'd you have to beat me to
You
it?
guys,
Yeah. Well, because I knew you were gonna say it because I kind of had looked into your eyes.
Yeah, I was
I
literally-
saw the gears turning.
I was
and
gonna say, I don't
like,
know, make it
let me-
cost 1 more. That was literally my
Yeah,
exact
like-
answer.
yeah, 7 seems like a pretty early turn, right? To be able to just free board wipe
Yeah.
for the most part.
I don't know how to think like you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I don't
Well,
think about the. I'm like,
a
it
big-
does it, but it does.
It's a big turn right now,
I don't know.
right?
If you just sit down and think, right, like how many times have like you as a player been like, oh man, if they just had Be Prepared 1 turn later, or had like
Yep.
been able to peek
That
them
is
1 turn
valid.
later, like I would have won that game.
Yep.
Like that happens a lot.
This is how you know I'm the beginner.
I am, like as we discussed early, an Amethyst enjoyer. I'm a Be Prepared apologist. I would not do what I suggested. I think 7 is good.
Would you make it inkable if you turned it to 8?
I probably would not because that's still like can you imagine you have Sisu,
Absolutely not.
Sisu 8 uninkable and then like conditional removal effect and then you have this inkable Be Prepared and it's like
Unconditional.
yeah.
That would put it back to a 10.
Yeah. It's like okay, well now we're cooking again and
Okay.
like maybe we
I
should,
like the 1 cost increase. I like
okay,
that.
I
think
will
that's
let
good.
you go first next time.
Okay, this is the last one.
What if I don't know the answer to the next one?
Well, see, that's
You have. I mean, it's
All right,
there's
all
no
right.
right answer. Just
I'm ready.
There are wrong
I'm ready.
answers, though.
Hit me with it.
okay. So this is the last one. All right. Diablo, 3-drop green Diablo that everyone apparently hates to play against.
I just don't think it's as bad as people think it is. I
People think
genuinely.
he's a 10.
That's coming from someone who played Blue Steel. I just don't have a problem with Diablo. Let's see. What could we do?
Wait, how do you tweak them? Just tweak them down just a little bit, you know? Because
So-
people are annoyed with him right now, and Dakota
I,
already has
Make
an
it,
answer.
I don't know. Make it cost 1 more.
No, that's
so,
stupid
yeah, that
answer.
I don't think would fix his issue.
It doesn't fix his issue either. It
I've
makes
actually
his singing better.
Just thought about this one when I was flying around to all the DLCs after he came out.
Like Diablo.
Yeah, about Diablo and all that.
No, like
Oh,
like
oh,
fly-
because
Flying
he's
like
a bird,
Diablo.
'Cause he's
and
a
I'm
bird.
a flightless human. That is correct, actually.
No, like
Yes.
in a plane.
Oh,
You flew.
Very similar.
Diablo flies.
Very similar.
It was a
things.
stretch, and he was reaching, but I got it immediately because, you know,
it's
He hangs
just
around
a
lot.
right over my
I
head.
spent too much time with Jotham.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I actually some kind of funny tangent from this. So I've known these guys for almost a year now, and we were I think we were in Seattle or Vegas or something. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, like how long have you guys known each other? And they were just like, oh, I don't know, like 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
Pretty sure
Because
that's how.
I've just like never seen 2 individuals who are just like such fast and good friends that I just assumed they were like, oh, like Jotham and Justin used to play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon like back in the day, and then now they both got into this card game because they both like Disney.
That's what I love about this game, right? Like, think about the demographic of other card games. I mean, for you guys' experience, because I don't really know it, but what I've heard is Disney lore kind of attracts a very different demographic of people. It attracts all those same people, but we get like just the Disney lovers. We get the girlfriends and wives who are like, oh, I want to play because I love Disney.
Just a more friendly atmosphere generally.
Honestly, like I've played every
Kids.
card game basically. The Lorcana community, like hands down, like leaps and bounds. Just my favorite community period. Like one of my, if not my favorite part about every DLC was just like talking to my opponents each round.
Yeah, it's super
by and
fun.
large.
Thank you.
Like just really no Scrooges. Just everyone has been like delightful for the most part. It's just been fantastic.
Did you enjoy talking to your LCQ round 1 opponent?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I talked to him for like quite a while before it too, because of all the repairs.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then it was pretty cool after our match. I like rescheduled my flight immediately because I lost in the first round.
You're welcome.
And yeah, thank you. And then we got an earthquake alert, so I got to thank Jotham here for potentially saving my life.
I did.
So they played each other round 1 at the LCQs, and I just thought that was funny.
Flew across the country to play against each other with the same exact deck list, by the way.
Yeah,
Him and I were on the same deck list. So that was fun.
Yeah, I even won the die roll and still lost.
Yeah.
But anyways, love the lore kind of community.
Okay, yeah, but to wrap it up, you can't dodge the question.
I would nerf Diablo by having it have to be an action card, but where there being a clause that it cannot be a song. I think what makes Diablo so oppressive, I think this might not put it down to like a 6 or a 7 like you wanted. This might be like a 4 or a 5.
That's true. It might be a little too strong.
It might be, but like
that might be the answer.
The most powerful thing that Diablo does is come into play on turn 2 and immediately sing a song. Like it is like the same issue with Bell to a degree when like you had Fortisphere and stuff like that. Like you would have to construct your decks differently. We'd definitely see a lot more hypnotizes, but you wouldn't be able to just like, oh, I have this sudden chill that's like a super mediocre card like half the time, roughly, right? Unless you got like Prince John or something else like specific, like they're on little cards or something.
I think that's interesting. I like that.
What if? Hear me out. Again, I have zero experience with this, and I'm just like looking for a way to add something in this. But what if when you shifted, you either do it that way or any action, but you also have to pay one? Is that
that is worse than free?
That is worse than free.
Well, then you can't like protect it with something like Ursula.
Right. If you're on the draw, you can't like protect it with Ursula. Well, you could still.
Or Hidden Cove. The Hidden Cove. Oh, that is.
Cove it. Yeah. Maybe the one cost is how you like. It's 1 to shift it. Like shift 1 plus discard an action card, and you don't have to restrict it. I think I actually like that.
That was a good idea. Yeah. That wasn't bad.
That was good. Yeah,
so that's not bad.
You're cooking. I was thinking the whole time while you guys were talking.
Thank you guys for playing my game. Next week or next podcast, we're going to have another game. It's going to be a different game, though.
Okay.
And is this going to be like a reoccurring thing? You just surprise us with a segment?
Yeah, it is.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I just need jingles from you guys. That's what I asked.
Okay, I'll get in the laboratory now that it's not tax season, and I'll like just practice my jingles in the mirror.
I'm gonna ask you guys if anyone is good at making jingles. Please.
Oh, I was just gonna do it a cappella.
No, I want it a cappella. I want it from your mouth.
Strike what I said. We're hitting the microphone.
I want it from your mouth.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jotham.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, anyways, I'm Jotham. That's like Gotham, but with a J.
Oh, I'm Dakota. I thought Justin was gonna go next down the line.
Oh, well, I thought you were gonna go next. So.
Well, you can go last because I went.
Oh, do you want to go again?
Sure. I am Jotham. That's like Gotham, but with a J.
Anyways, I'm Justin. I go by the Diz Dude. If you guys want to follow us, we're going to put all of our personal social medias inside of the description below, especially Jotham's because he has so many. And then we also will put all the links to the socials for the Between Two Turns podcast as well. So thank you guys for joining us. If you watched the first episode and made it this far with us, we really appreciate it. And if you want to follow our journey, keep watching the podcast. What did they say? Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment or
do whatever
something. I don't know.
Do whatever you want.
You guys know what to do.
Yeah, if you have any like suggestions for how we could nerf these cards without banning them, leave those in the comments.
Oh, that's a great idea because I know nothing. Consider me Jon Snow on the subject.
See if
so
you
please
can get better ideas than
help
Justin.
me, please. Anyways, you guys have a good day or night wherever you're at. Appreciate you watching.